You're listening to Diminishing Returns, the podcast about sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and reboots. I'm Chris Scott, and across from me is the man that gives me hope. The hope that death will not be the worst thing that happens in my life, because I have to listen to him talk about fucking films all the time. It's Mr. Alan Johnson!
How do, pod people?
They are requesting a call sign.
It's, Rogue. Rogue One.
With the sale of Lucasfilm to Disney in 2012, many wondered what plans the House of Mouse had in store for the galaxy far, far away. The first film of this new Disney era was of course The Force Awakens in 2015, which served as both a sequel and soft reboot for the franchise, and marked a significant return to practical effect work in contrast to the excessive CGI work of the prequels. With Lucasfilm now intent on truly expanding the Star Wars cinematic universe, would begin a series of anthology films. The first of these, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, was released in 2016. Rogue One would tell the story of the brave few mentioned in the text of the opening crawl of A New Hope, a plucky band of outsiders charged with stealing the plans to the Empire's deadliest weapon, the planet-killing Death Star. This new, diverse cast was led by Felicity Jones and featured Diego Luna, Riz Ahmed, Forrest Whitaker, Ben Mendelsohn, Alan Tudyk, and raising some suspicious ethical questions, Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher. But using this Star Wars side story as an excuse to break with Star Wars tradition, the makers dispense with several key elements, like the aforementioned text crawl, the transitional screen wipes, giant Empire ships featuring in the opening scenes, and kept lightsaber use to a minimum to tell a gritty war story different in tone and style to the 7 previous entries in the franchise, breaking new ground and upsetting die-hard fans on the way to massive box office success.
Let's start with this. Listener Alexis Donnelly, she was wanting to know what we would call this type of film.
Right.
Because I know you love talking about like sidequels and things like that. How would you describe this? It's both a prequel and a spin-off. Is it really a true prequel?
Yeah, I would say it's an interquel, is that what they call it?
I knew you'd come up with something
because
awful.
It tells a story inside like a pre-existing story arc.
Interquel.
I think it's more a spin-off than a prequel, really, isn't it?
I would say so. She suggested mid-equal, and you can fuck off because that's a terrible idea. But thank you for contacting us. If anyone else wants to give us some terrible ideas for what to call sequels, you can email us at diminishingpod@gmail.com. Okay, so it's an interquel. Yep. Okay. Fuck it.
Let's
All
go
right.
with it.
I mean, it's the Star Wars universe. Silly names are like baked into the premise, really, aren't they? Speaking of which, Jyn Erso?
Yeah, I think the character names in this film are intentionally difficult to remember because as the plot plays out, we're never going to meet these people again.
Oh yeah,
so,
you think? I mean, I just
so Cassian and Saw Gerrera and was it Chewett and Baze Malbus? We're never going to see them again. So like these names don't need to sink in the way that Luke and Leia and Han.
Okay, you think that's maybe something that's on purpose? I don't know. I just think that like at this point they're just like fuck it, let's just call them anything because there's a lot of great names. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like Jyn Erso, but it also feels weird to say.
Yeah, it's catchy. It's almost like the writers have just used a Star Wars name generator.
Yeah. So I guess we've just slightly touched on it there. So basically, Jyn Erso is the protagonist of this film.
Yeah.
She's a plucky heroine, my favourite type, apart from Afghan. As in like heroin.
Man, I really did take a minute.
Yeah, that wasn't me just like I have a kink. It's for a darker lady. That would be awful. I was making a joke about hard drug use, which is absolutely fine. Obviously, as well, if anyone knows me and seen me, the idea that I would be a junkie, I'd be like the fattest junkie in the world. However, yeah. So Jyn Erso's the plucky heroine. Now, basically, the film starts with her as a child in this sort of farm, this remote farm with her dad, Galen Erso, who is an ex-Empire scientist, who the Empire come in to collect to say they need him to work in this big secret project. Oh, I wonder what that's going to be. It's the Death Star. Because it's a Star Wars film, and basically almost every film has to have the Death Star in it. Yeah. It's the law. It's like 75% of them or something at this point.
Yeah, this was an issue some critics had with this movie, is that it's the 4th time now there's been a Death Star related.
Though to be fair, if they're doing this story, it has to be about the Death Star in a way.
The opening crawl from A New Hope Hope says during a battle, Rebel spies managed to steal the secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star. So that's where the plot of this movie comes from.
So while I can see, I think that's a decent criticism of The Force Awakens, I don't think it really plays, other than unless you're just against the whole idea of this film.
Yeah.
In which case, fair enough, but you can't really be like, it's cool they've made this kind of war film about the opening crawl, but I'd rather it didn't have the stuff about the opening crawl in it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I do think it's a much bigger weakness in Force Awakens than it is here. Here it's completely logical, but in The Force Awakens I'm quite frustrated by the fact it's another like planet killer. You know, just scaling it up doesn't work for me. But
as we've talked about at length in our The Force Awakens episode a few months ago, which you can of course get wherever you get your podcast. So Jyn Erso, her dad's an Empire scientist, as I said, and obviously as he's played by Mads Mikkelsen, he's also an absolute ride. I mean, what a good looking boy he is. Honest to God, he's
now trying to make it as a farmer in one of the Outer Rim territories. And
imagine just sitting on a farm with Mads Mikkelsen. Oh, what a dream. So the Empire come to collect him, and it's great because they've got the classic posh English bad guy, even though he's played by an Australian. But they've just went, it's Star Wars, mate. Come on, you're a posh English guy. And I'm not going to lie, it absolutely works as a choice. When the bad guy comes down and is like, Galen, I'm like, yeah, okay, I like it. So he basically kills Galen's wife and grabs Galen to take him back to start working on the Death Star. We then cut one of many cuts in this film, very, very quick cuts, to she's now grown up, she's in trouble, she's getting, she's like the girls from Shampoo. And there's a reference for you.
It's taking me back.
It's just, oh my lord. So basically, that's your re-intro. That's who she is. She's now grown up. She's this, one could say, rebellious type of character. We then do a lot of kind of cutting about. There's a lot. Now, I didn't mind it so much in my rewatch, but the first time I watched it, I was like, boy, they're really trying to like fit a lot in here. We're not getting to spend a lot of time
There's a lot
with people.
Location jumps. So this is the first time in the kind of Star Wars series where they've actually started telling you explicitly on screen when you're on different planets.
You know my thoughts on that sort of thing. I did really enjoy that. That was the bit I was like, I like this.
I mean, I'll forgive that aspect of it because the Star Wars films are pretty guilty for having planets that have one topographic feature. Hoth's the snow planet, Endor's the forest moon, Tatooine's a desert planet. Like, there's no planets seem to really have like diverse landscaping. It just seems to be like you're the one thing in the Star Wars world. So when you're jumping around the place, I don't mind if it's going to give me a locator to let me know where I am.
So we're very quickly kind of introduced to Cassian, who's a sort of rebel spy and pilot played by Diego Luna.
Yeah, obviously cast in the kind of Han Solo role.
Yes.
Pretty roguish. He's the sort of roguish of this rogues gallery.
The roguiest of the rogues in Rogue One.
So Diego Luna, we see him mid-mission. It's almost like James Bond. He's obviously trying to get some information vital to the rebellion. And then we see him kill off his contact, which for a quote-unquote hero, that's not a particularly heroic move to just go, oh, this guy's lame, I can't leave him behind.
Basically, he's sort of trapped. He needs to escape, but the guy he's with only has one arm and there's no way he can escape.
Yeah.
But then he can't let him fall into the stormtrooper's hands because he'll tell them that the rebels know this information. So he shoots the guy. Great, sort of like, this is a hardcore kind of film comparatively. I mean, not hardcore like, Paul Schrader's hardcore. I would love, if we're going to have more of these spin-off films where there is like one that is just set in like a S&M sex planet with one topographic feature. Bobby Fett, I'm sorry, Bobby Fett, Bobby Fetish, Fett Life. Have you heard about Fett? My friend of mine, Mike, we'll get back to Star Wars in a minute, guys. Friend of mine, Mike, he was telling us that he went out with this lassie and she did into like fetish stuff. She made him join a Tinder for fetish people.
Oh, okay.
Like called Fett Life. and like immediately, I have a childish, naive brain sometimes despite being filthy. And I was like, Fett Life? What do you mean Fett? Like Boba Fett? That was it. And then I was like, oh, fetish. Oh, yeah. That probably makes way more sense since you've literally told me what it is. They didn't last. But yeah, Fett Life. If you're looking for like Boba Fett enthusiasts, do not go to Fett Life. So Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I really hope we keep most of that because I quite enjoyed that. Yes, we've got Cassian. We later meet his robot pal, K2SO.
K2SO, yeah, a reprogrammed Empire droid.
Which, I mean, this is something that, although it's quite obvious, only really hit me when I watched this, like, man, you know what there's a lot of in Star Wars? wacky robot sidekicks. Like, I've seen all the films. I've seen the wacky robot sidekicks in all these films. It's never been like something that I thought of as a feature, but now it's no, like these are films that have wacky robot sidekicks in it.
There's actually a nice moment in this movie when K2SO passes another K2 unit who's still on the Empire side. You can see even just how K2SO moves differently. Like, he's a bit looser. He sort of like has a wee sideways glance at this still working for the bad guys,
working for the man.
Yeah, K2 unit, and it's just such a tiny little moment, but it's really nice in the film.
Actually, I think that every bit with K2SO is really funny, and the robot design is really well done. That's one of the highlights of the film for me.
Yeah, he was initially just meant to be like a black protocol droid, not black as in like
black like Barry White, not white like Frank Black.
Exactly,
which I believe is a Bloodhound gangster.
So yeah, he was just meant to be like a black version of C-3PO, the protocol droid, but the design team sort of like kind of kept reworking this and kept going back, as they did with loads of stuff in this movie, kept going back to Ralph McQuarrie's production pre-visualization stuff for Star Wars A New Hope. Like you say, the design they have for K2SO is brilliant. He's one that I really do wish made it to the end.
Spoiler alert, everybody dies. In life and in Rogue One.
I just thought Alan Tudyk's...
do you think that's what... Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen's about? Everybody dies, baby, that's a fact. He was like, I bet you those guys that had the plans for Death Star all died. And they're just like work-a-day guys, They probably
they were just blue-collar spies stealing Death Star plans and 95 shifts.
That's it, working down at the space plant, and they've got like a girl called Mary Sue that they take out in their space cruisers. It's pretty tough. But so he's got a wacky robot sidekick. Let's not go through the plot too much, but basically Jyn Erso was handed off to a guy called Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker, as a child, and he raised her. And so the rebels realised that Saw Gerrera has in his possession a pilot from the Empire who's defected with some information. So they need somebody to get to Saw Gerrera, who's like a militant, like extremist rebellion guy. So they're like, hold on, if we can find this lassie that he thought of as a daughter, she can get us in the front door. So Cassian and the robot grab Jyn Erso and are like, we need you to go see your stepdad. And she's like, I don't like rebellions, I don't do politics, guys. And they're like, don't you believe in anything? And then she's pretty much like, yeah, all right, let's do it. I mean, there was some really nice dialogue and stuff, and it was actually well done, but I just love how it was like, listen, I don't do anything. And they're like, go on. And she goes, all right.
The actual putting together of the team is a little slapshod, will we say? It just comes together.
Yeah.
It's not like the Magnificent Seven where people have to be won over and bribed and stuff to become part of the team. These guys just sort of all get on board, and Jyn does seem to kind of go along with it fairly easily. I guess they kind of threatened to sort of send her back to the Empire. She could probably escape. I think it's all. I mean, again, what I like about these films is that it is obvious that she's gonna eventually be like, the rebels are important and stuff like that, And to be fair, the Empire are ridiculously bad. Yeah, I love stormtroopers, but I'm never like, I'm on their side. Yeah, they're bad guys. Yeah. But so that's us starting to get the team together. So we've got Jyn, Cassian, we've got the wacky robot sidekick. They go to Jeddah. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Now here's the thing, I like it because it almost sounds like Jedi. Well, there's the wrecked Jedi statue. Yeah, there's there's temples and stuff to Jedis and shit. The two characters we meet here, Baze Malbus and Chirrut Imwe, they are... I'm just going to call them Donnie Yen and the big guy with a gun. Okay. They both tie into like other Star Wars lore. These guys are like keepers of Jedi lore. They're like Donnie Yen's still a true believer in the Force, but the other guy's just there because he's protecting his pal who's blind, because Donnie Yen's like a blind space monk. What's that? This is amazing. Yen, boy! I mean, I think that was a big one. I was pretty on board for this movie when I first saw it, but by the time it hits Donnie Yen, who's essentially a blind swordsman... Wait a second, guys. Are you going to have a blind guy doing super badass stuff? Yeah, here we are. It is amazing. Totally. So they land on this planet, they meet Donnie Yen and the guy with the big gun, who are the two coolest characters pretty much in this whole thing. Yeah. Can I ask, how do you feel about their relationship? Do you think there's a gay subtext? It doesn't necessarily... Is this going to be like Carry On Up the Kyber Crystals?
It's a great reference because the kyber crystals are the things that power the Death Star and lightsabers.
I'm hesitant just to ship them as a gay couple, but there's certainly something really deep there between the two of them.
Then there's that scene when they start sucking each other's cocks.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Do you think that? Do you think that makes them gay?
That was one of those scenes that was in the trailer but didn't make it to the movie.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
I mean,
I don't know why Disney didn't want that. There's two guys fucking 69 each other.
No,
What a wacky robot sidekick talks about them. You have a 39% chance of coming in his eye.
I understood that they've got a really deep
I just thought
relationship
they were like
put together,
just
but
friends.
Then when it comes time when Donnie Yen gets killed and then Baze Malbus seeks his revenge with his big gun.
The big guy with a gun, yeah.
I mean, apart from reminding me of when that one Ewok dies, the saddest moment at all.
Chihuahua.
I really thought there was something more to their relationship than just we are here guarding this temple.
I just saw it as that they were just like really good friends and that, you know, he just loved him as a pal.
Right.
I mean, I'm down with them being gay, but I never read it like that, to be honest with you. I just thought it was just your standard story of a badass with a giant gun and a blind space monk. I mean, I think if they're gay, it's a bit far-fetched, to be honest, you know. So they meet them as they're sort of wandering around the city trying to get to Saw Gerrera. So Cassian and Jin and the wacky robot sidekick are on this planet trying to get Saw Gerrera, who has the pilot who's defected from the Empire with information from super sexy Empire scientist Galen Erso, Jin's father. Cassian and Jin meet blind space monk and his boyfriend, evidently with a big gun. And this is one of my favourite set pieces in the film. Just like explosions and bombs. So there's scout walkers shooting things. There's laser fights. And then, you know what happens? Donnie Yen happens. Donnie Yen just walks out and just takes out motherfuckers.
Oh, that sequence is pretty breathtaking and filmed very intensely, like really handheld. It's in amongst the troops. Yeah. You really feel like you're inside the battle as it takes, or the skirmish as it takes place. But
very redolent of things like Afghanistan and things like that. So very obviously they're trying to make
hinting to real world combat, like kind of guerrilla warfare and stuff.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'd be for a lot more wars, and I'm for most of them because we need to thin the herd. But I'd be for more of them if there was blind space monks kicking ass.
Yeah,
I'm in. So there's a great scene of Donnie Yen kicking ass. My only problem with it, you only really get the one full scene of him going like full Donnie Yen on people.
Yeah.
I would have liked another one. You know what I mean? I think you get the full Yen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas we just got, by the way, guys, this is how cool Donnie Yen is.
You could have had this a whole movie.
Yeah. I would definitely see a spin-off that was just about him and his mate going around kicking ass.
Oh, absolutely.
They eventually get taken by Forrest Whitaker. His men capture them and take them back, including the blind monk and boyfriend. And this is what I love about this film. It dives to a lot of smart stuff, and then it's like it puts them all in this like little jail I've got here in my hideout. Oh, who's next to them in the jail that they can totally speak to through a wee hole in the wall? The guy they've been looking for the whole film. The Empire pilot. It's like, oh, who's that? Hey, it's me, the guy you've been searching for. So this is Riz Ahmed, the British actor, who is been in amazing things, is always killing it every film I've seen him in.
And as a musician, as an ambassador, like, I mean, the guy is.
I didn't know he did any of that, but cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for him. When he's captured by Forrest Whitaker, Forrest Whitaker's like, obviously we're meant to think Forrest Whitaker's a bit crazy in this film, and he's like, Riz Ahmed, you're lying to me. This is an Empire trap. And Riz Ahmed's like, no, I've got stuff here to tell you. This is going to be important. Instead of really just like looking at the disc or whatever that Riz Ahmed's got, he goes, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into this cell with this beastie. And this beastie can tell if you're lying or not. It can read your thoughts.
This mind-reading octopus.
Yeah, it's like a mind-reading octopus, right? But the only thing about it is, once it reads your thoughts, it can turn you mad. You're like, holy shit, that's fucked up. This poor guy has tried to do his best, trying to save the universe. This thing's going to turn him mad. Our heroes, Jin, Erso and Cassian, they're in this jail cell. Cassian sees him, and Riz Ahmed's all like shaken up. Doesn't even know where he is. Doesn't know what he's doing. And that lasts for about 5 minutes. What the fuck, guys? Like, you're making it out like this is. You've set up this like this is going to turn them completely crazy. He's fine after 5 minutes.
I think that's one of the areas where potentially we see the stitching together of the extensive reshoots that we heard so much about during the production of this film. And normally when you hear that stuff about about, extensive reshoots, Justice League or whatever, you're thinking, problems. But this film, by and large, actually works fairly well. But I think that's a big moment where you're like, this is the difference between two storylines that have been cut back.
Yeah.
Could have been fixed with just a little bit of writing.
Or just cut out the bit where he says it'll turn you mad.
Yeah,
just or have a bit where Forrest Whitaker goes, this thing will read your thoughts, and for 5 minutes, you'll be a bit, I
mean, it's a bit like Han Solo's temporary blindness when he's released from the carbonite.
Yeah.
It'll pass. But all you need is somebody to say, look, this will pass.
Yeah. This is us finally got the fucking gang together.
Yeah, all the pieces are in place to actually go and steal the Death Star plans.
So basically, Riz Ahmed is like Galen Erso. He's got this sort of hologram, classic Star Wars hologram, where Mads Mikkelsen is like, I've been fucking working for the Empire for the last 10 years because I knew that they would finish the Death Star without me. But what I've done, guys, is I've put in a flaw into the building, into the system. Oh, we all know what that flaw is, don't you? It's the fucking exhaust port. Oh, it's brilliant. Like, what a lovely, like, the scriptwriter for this is like, I've had 30 years of people going, why did they leave the exhaust port open? And now they've made it happen.
Yeah.
So basically, he's like, there's this flaw. Now I've built it into the system. So you need to get the plans for the Death Star and find where the exhaust port is, and you can destroy the Death Star. Bish bash bosh. The Empire attack Forrest Whitaker's lair, meaning that he's dead, but our Empire pilot Riz Ahmed, Jyn Erso, Cassian, and the space monk, big gun guy, and our wacky robot sidekick get to escape. That's all you need, baby. We've got them. Here's our main guys. So they try, at this point, they go to where Mads Mikkelsen's being kept.
Yes.
What's the reason for that again?
First
I know
of
the
all,
rebels want to kill Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes, essentially the theory is if to get Mads to get information on the Death Star, that's the guys they're going on with Jyn Erso, but Cassian has been given the second ulterior mission by the rebels, which is, if you see Galen Erso, you've got to kill him. Where they go is where the engineer team that are building the Death Star is, but that's not where the Death Star is. Is that correct?
And not where the plans for the Death Star are either.
Yeah,
But so there's a couple of things. Rebels, the Rebel Alliance, hierarchies, bureaucracy, things happen.
Yeah.
But it's been about 15 years since he's been captured. If it's that important to kill the fucking main guy who's trying to build this weapon, why wait till like 15 years have passed? The Death Star's almost finished and be like, we should probably kill that guy. He's almost finished the Death Star. We've been doing the last 15 years, you lazy bastards.
I can only imagine it's because Riz Ahmed's shown up and actually has a line on where they are.
Right.
That's the like internal logic to it.
So, well, Cassian goes to kill Mads Mikkelsen. Not cool, man. No. Gotta let something that beautiful just live as long as it can. Do you know what I mean? At this point, this is where you get to see that Cassian, he's actually a good guy, really, because he's got him in his sights and he's like, oh, do I want to kill Mads Mikkelsen? And then he's also like, I'd also probably fuck his daughter. Can I fuck both Mads Mikkelsen and his daughter? Would that be weird? I mean, not at the same time. Maybe at the same time. This is subtext. You can tell it's the actor's subtext.
That's what
that's what he's
I mean, what's really happening on screen is that Cassian has seen something to lead him to believe that Galen Erso isn't all bad. But inside, you can tell his performance is very subtle. He's saying,
let's get it on with Mads.
Yeah.
Right? So, cool. He's not going to kill Mads Mikkelsen. Great. At this point, the rebels show up to try and blow up this facility and have basically accidentally killed Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah,
At which point, like a million vaginas cried out at once and were suddenly silenced. That's a little reference to A New Hope, where they said that. Yeah, okay. Because women would fuck Mads Mikkelsen like I would.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of collateral damage there. And poor Jyn Erso, she was almost about to reconnect with her beloved father.
Right.
She didn't know where he was for these last like 10, 15 years. And so they have a heartbreaking goodbye. But then, obviously, our rebel bunch have to escape.
He's all
this
like,
now.
goodbye, Stardust.
Yeah.
That's not how he sounds.
Goodbye, Stardust is the crucial.
Yeah, that's his nickname to his daughter, which will come up later on. Yeah, so the rebels bomb this installation, this Empire installation. Mads Mikkelsen dies. Pour one out for your dead homie, and by pour one out I mean jerk one off. And then it's like, oh fuck, they go back to the rebels and they're like, guys, we've been told that there's this fault in the Death Star. We could totally destroy the Death Star. And the rebels go, nah, just not bother it. Probably a bit. Should we just go home?
It's a bit risky.
I mean, they've got a thing that can destroy entire planets. So what's our plan? Oh, we're going to move to a planet.
When there's a planet been destroyed, we'll be in the other planet.
Yeah, just
That's
keep
the plan.
Yeah,
just keep one planet ahead.
Yeah, with another girl. They always flirt with death.
Yeah.
They don't care about it. So yeah, so the rebels sort of hierarchy are like, nah, Not into it. Oh, that lassie is back as
Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma. She's in Return of the Jedi. We've got Jimmy Smits from
Coming
NYPD Blue.
And unfortunately the prequels.
But it's still cool to have Jimmy Smits in this.
I'll take Jimmy Smits any day of the week.
Yeah.
Wherever you want to stick him, I'm down.
Oh, give me a case of the Smits.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't enjoy the prequels, when he came on screen, I was like, oh, cool.
Right, yeah.
Like, they are at least going, listen, we know they happened. I'm sorry it did. I'm sorry it happened. We're trying to do our best to mitigate it. Basically, the prequels are like Brexit. It's happening. I'm not happy about it. It's a terrible idea. It's going to be a fucking disaster, but we're going to have to try and pick up the pieces afterwards. The prequels are Brexit, and the new sequels are us in the post-Brexit world.
Right.
And that we're going to wish that our planet was destroyed because it's going to be terrible.
It's the one very obvious place where they do like acknowledge the prequels.
Yeah, and it's Jimmy Smits. So the rebels are just like, meh, we're not going to do it. And Jen Erso's like, maybe we should probably try and get the plan so we can destroy the Death Star. Sounds like a good idea.
This is where our plucky bunch sort of go rogue and assume the title. This is where they decide, you know what, we understand that public opinion might be swaying against our actions, but I think we've got a pretty solid chance at this. And so they decide to defy orders and go off. But now they just happen upon like a whole other group of soldiers.
There's a battalion of fucking...
Like,
that's what I like about it.
Come to.
It's like there's a plucky band of 4 people and a wacky robot sidekick. And these like 40 other guys who you've just met.
One of them was in Rizzle Kicks.
So yeah, are they still a popular
I have no idea, but either Rizzle or Kicks was in.
Right, yeah. So at this point, they're like, Mon Mothma, fuck you. Guy that looks a bit like Daniel Craig with a mustache, fuck you. Guy that you've seen in hundreds of British TV shows over the years, fuck you.
With the Rogue One bunch, we're about to go to Scarif, which looks like the holiday resort the Empire have built. You know, it's that beautiful tropical island.
It is nice, isn't it? They go to this place called Scarif where the plans are held, right? And it's like, here's the plans for the Death Star. Again, what I love about these, because it is based on a 70s sci-fi thing, it's like you have to physically go and get a disc.
Yeah, it's not, you couldn't just intercept an email or you couldn't hack the terminal. You've got to go and get the physical thing.
Yeah, they go on this mission. At this point, we get full-on war movie stuff.
Yeah.
It's people sacrificing themselves for the greater good. Do or die, daring do. Suddenly the rebels go, oh, fuck. Maybe we should try and stop that massive planet-killing thing. Which I love that, like, you could have just done that an hour before, guys. Do you know what I mean? But once the ragtag bunch, the rogue ones, go down and start doing it, the rest of the rebels go, well, in for a penny.
Yeah.
Probably not the way to run a military.
It doesn't seem like it's run with, if you'll pardon the expression, military efficiency.
Yeah. This then leads to the big battle. So above the planet's sort of got a massive shield around it.
Yeah.
And above the planet, the Empire and the rebels are shooting it out, while the rebels are trying to take out the shield, so that once the Rogue One crew get the plans, they can send it up, send up like a file transfer.
I think it's called a data transfer. That's what they've got to try and do.
A data transfer past the shield to the rebels waiting. So you're like, let's get it done. Jyn Erso, she and Cassian have to like go through like an old school Empire kind of building, which is great because it is so styled, just like the original film.
Yeah.
They're searching for this file. Galen's hidden here with the plans that show you where the exhaust port is. How are we going to find it? And as I look through the files, she sees a file called Stardust. The nickname that her father gave her as a child. Stardust. That's the clue that he's left. And Cassian says, how do you know that's the one? And she says, I know because it's me. Don't give him any context then, love. You know, there's a fucking clock ticking. Go like that. Oh, it's my dad's nickname for me, so that's how I would know it. And he'd go, great. Instead she goes, I know because it's me. If I was Cassian, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's you. Oh, I'm going to have to shoot another fucking comrade here on the back because this one's a fucking mental case. No, I'm a file. Yes. Pew pew. Dead. You know what I mean? That's how that film should have ended. You see, I'm like, oh fuck. These are the ramblings of a mad woman.
Yeah.
Also, Galen, you are assuming that your daughter's still alive.
Yeah,
the last time you left her, there was stormtroopers running to find her, and you like told her to go and hide down a wee hidey hole. What happens? What happened if she just walked across like a space road, get hit by a space car, right?
Yeah.
And then that's it. And so but he still gets the message out. The rebels are there, and they're like, right, what a dick. So Jyn, Erso, and Cassian do get the file to upload to our rebel friends.
Up to the fleet.
Awaiting
outside the shield.
And they're like, our job's done. However, they see that the Death Star is in the horizon, and the Death Star is basically, at the moment, it's not at full planet-killing capacity. But it can destroy cities.
Yeah.
And so they've done everything they can to try and give the rebellion a chance. And we watch as this massive wave of destruction wipes them out. Holy shit, guys. Like, we've seen the wacky robot sidekicks being killed. Heartbreaking. Riz Ahmed's been killed. Heartbreaking. The blind monk's been killed. Heartbreaking. His good friend / gay lover goes out in a blaze of glory trying to kill motherfuckers because his blind friend's been killed. Heartbreaking. But you think, these are the two heroes of the film. Surely they get that, and then they get on a ship and they escape and we have further No, they're dead. They don't even really know if it worked. Amazing. That's a brilliant storytelling choice.
Yeah, the whole team have just given everything.
Absolutely.
It's become the ultimate sacrifice for them.
And at this point, that's where she should have turned around and went, I told you I didn't want to get involved. I could have been fucking sitting about, dicks. I just wanted to kick about and fucking watch space TV. Arseholes. Like, holy shit, what can possibly follow that? Well, that's when we go up to the Rebel Alliance, who've finally got the data transfer file. Yeah,
so we have a pitch battle going on. They steal the plans, manage to upload it.
Do you know what I liked about it is how they managed to destroy the shield, which is by like basically flying into a Star Destroyer and fucking it into the shield, like just driving it into the shield.
Push another spaceship into it.
Loved it. That was cool.
The data transfer happens. They get the information on the one ship. The ship starts to make a break for it. Darth Vader makes his appearance. We've met him briefly during the film before when Krennic went to speak to him about the Death Star, and
which again, he goes to the lava planet or whatever, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Pick up a phone. Don't do the commute. Just be like.
So we've met Darth Vader already in the proceedings, but now he shows up and he starts to kick ass. So there's a bit of brutal Darth Vader action.
Yeah, and it's great. Darth Vader just like force choking motherfuckers like it's going out of fashion, throwing people against the wall, lightsabering them as they fall down and stuff like that. Just a great wee scene of you finally get to see Darth Vader really kick ass.
Yeah, I finally see a lightsaber in this film.
Yeah.
You know, that Star Wars, it's intrinsically tied to lightsabers. You know, this is the first time we've seen one in the whole movie. Now, a lot of critics and Star Wars fans have an issue with how Darth Vader behaves here versus how we see him in subsequent films. But I actually don't have much of an issue with it for two reasons. One, visual storytelling now in movies is very different to it was in 1977. So I can understand they maybe amped it a little bit. And secondly, Darth Vader is basically held together by wires and fuse boxes and breathing apparatus. That one moment when he throws those guys about, that's the first time he's been called to action. Everything else we see of Darth Vader in subsequent films, that's him trying to get his breath back. That's why it's all like he's an old man. He's winded. Man. He's not a well man. He's not at the prime of life. So I don't have much of an issue.
Also, this
with
is
it.
like the only bit where basically there's loads of like rebels like trying to pass the data transfer file that's came up.
Yeah.
Pass it from hand to hand to get it away from Darth Vader and get it to safety. And he rocks up and there's like, I don't know, like 10 dudes. Try to shoot him. Like, that doesn't really happen in the other films. It's usually just like one person. So he's like, all right, okay, time to bring out the Force.
So then we get to a dramatic moment and the information is finally passed off to Princess Leia, who takes the disc, delivers a message of this film. It's about hope. The whole film's about hope. That
rebellions are built on hope.
Which is different in tone to how it's presented in the trailer. The trailer was all very much about rebellion and rebelliousness and that sort of action of rebelling against an unjust system, whereas the film is essentially about having hope there's going to be a brighter future, that you can overcome this all-powerful enemy. So we get that moment with a bizarrely CGI'd, but we'll come on to that stuff later, Princess Leia, and boom, we're off and running. That's us into Star Wars. That this film has butted right up to the beginning of New Hope, and it's served as an interquel.
As we've discussed, and that's the best way to describe it. You're listening to our episode on Rogue One, a Star Wars story. That's right, we go deep into the tiny sort of films that you rarely hear about on podcasts. If you'd like to praise us for this innovative approach, you can email us at diminishingpod@gmail.com. You can get us on Twitter at diminishingpod. On Facebook, Diminishing Returns Podcast. You can tag us on Facebook by putting at Diminishing Returns Pod. On Instagram, we are Diminishing Pod. We have a blog on diminishingpod.wordpress.com. On YouTube, search Diminishing Returns, you'll probably find us. We are an independent podcast, so please rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. 5 stars, don't be a dick. And more importantly, if you've got any friends that like this sort of bullshit, and this is going to sound crazy, but if you think you know someone who likes Star Wars and would also like to hear men in Scottish accents talk about how absolutely shaggable Mads Mikkelsen is, get them involved in the podcast, send them a link to the specific show, get them listening. We need this. We want to have spin-off podcasts. I hope we see Chewbacca's dick. Yeah. So we touched on it. One of the things I think both want to talk about is CGIing, de-aging, or bringing people back to life. Let's talk about that shit, man.
Yes.
So in this film, there are two characters that have extensive sort of CGI stuff.
Yes.
You've got Grand Moff Tarkin,
Yeah.
who was played by Peter Cushing.
Yes.
He, rather annoyingly for this production, is dead.
Unfortunately passed away in 1994.
Yeah. So, they didn't freeze him like they did with the Big Boss Man at Disney. So there's an actor playing him on set.
Guy Henry as Governor Tarkin.
He's delivering the lines as Peter Cushing, like doing a kind of impersonation.
Yes.
And then what they do is they then CGI Peter Cushing's face on Guy's face.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the way it's introduced is Krennic, the actual bad guy in this film, walks in and Moff Tarkin is facing away from him. You can hear and it's like, oh, that's Peter Cushing. That's the Peter Cushing character. And you see a little silhouette on the window that he's looking out of his reflection of him saying the words. And I was in the cinema going, you fucking geniuses. What a wonderful and elegant way to go. You want to have a scene with Grand Moff Tarkin in it. You want to have a scene with Peter Cushing, but Peter Cushing's dead. So you do the CGI thing. You're smart because you know it looks a bit weird sometimes. You've not quite got it right. So by doing it as the reflection in the window, you have perfectly, and also it shows you his disdain for Krennic because he's not even turning out to talk to him. That is amazing. I was like, well done, everyone. At that point, he turns around with his creepy CGI face and then talks for another 5 minutes. Great, guys, because it looks weird as shit.
It becomes one of the most substantial roles that Empire have in this film.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like you stumbled upon the perfect solution and went, how do I do that?
No, and it's really weird because the story arc in this film is that Krennic is the one who spearheaded the Death Star initiative, and then when it becomes a fully formed battle station, Tarkin realises the power it holds and he just pushes Krennic out of the way and he takes the Death Star as his own.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of screen time for an effect that I'm sure within the next few years will be seamless, but at the moment it's just that little
It's the uncanny
bit
valley.
off.
It's just
Right.
it's so close to being right that the fact that it's a little off makes it just completely weird and off-putting. It's like somebody's went, let's get Superman's moustache and just like erase that and put an old guy's face on it. It doesn't make sense.
Let's just erase everything except the moustache.
Yeah, I would watch that film. By having that wee scene, that could have been fine. You didn't need to have too much of him because it doesn't really affect the plot. You had that so that we go, all right, so basically Tarkin took the credit for this. And that's why he's a big deal in the Empire in the next film, the original Star Wars, A New Hope. And obviously Krennic gets killed in the blast.
He dies in Scarif with everyone else. Yeah.
So, you didn't need to have that much of Tarkin, just a little bit. Because there's also a scene when obviously Krennic goes to see Darth Vader and is like, Tarkin's trying to take credit for all my stuff. You need to let the Emperor know that I'm the guy that made the Death Star.
Yeah.
Oh, at this point as well, what I loved about that is that Darth Vader turns around to him and says something like, Krennic, be careful not to choke on your ambitions, because he's giving him the wee force choke. And it's like, then remind you that Darth Vader is a father because he tells dad jokes. It's like, all right, mate. We get it. You're choking me. All right, this is painful enough. I don't need to hear your fucking bullshit patter. That's the 8th time he said that to him. Like every time he's got somebody there, be careful not to choke. And he's like, yes, Darth. Belter. You got me there, pal.
It raises a really murky ethical question. Just because we can do this stuff, should we do it? Obviously the maker's got the permission from the Cushing estate to okay all of this.
But then is that going to be like his lazy kids who want like sweet, sweet cash?
I'm sure because it's Star Wars and it's done with the best of intentions.
If I ever have kids, I'd like to think that they would act according to my wishes.
Yeah, and cast you in every Star Wars film
but,
possible.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I don't know why that would ever happen. But you could find out that Peter Cushing's last words were like, whatever you do not make me star in another Star Wars film when I'm dead. And then they're like, we'd rather not. And then Lucasfilm go, we can give you $100,000. And they're like, $100,000 could buy lots of things.
Yeah.
Fuck you, dead dad. Or granddad, whatever. You know what I mean? So I understand that obviously that's probably not the case, and it was done with the estate's permission. Obviously, I guess it has to be.
Yeah. Should they just have recast the role? The actor that played Tarkin in the movie looks not dissimilar.
Yeah.
I wonder how far prosthetics might have bridged the gap.
Yeah, he's like just there with like a Groucho nose and specs.
Yeah, I mean, when I say prosthetics, I mean like
big fake tits, big fake plastic tits from like a stag do. It's like Krennic, oi oi, lads. But I mean, as I say, once they did make a decision, they should have just had that bit where he was facing away from the
Yes,
reflection, and you would have went, oh, that's perfect. That's all we need. And then you go, well, at least it's over. At least we're not going to get anything else, or bad CGI stuff. It's fine. Oh, what's the last scene in the film? Oh, that's right. They hand off the plans to Leia.
Yeah.
And again, like, they hand it off to her and she's kind of shot from the back. And at this point, I'm going, don't do it again. Just, you have a shot from the back, you hear Carrie Fisher's voice, make her say the line now and maybe like de-age the voice. You know, you can lighten it, or just don't have her turn round and be like a creepy, weird CGI anime version of like, Princess Leia. Oh, what did they do? The exact thing.
It's like Annabelle playing Princess Leia.
It's like a creepy doll. It's just, there's no texture.
There's something just not right. At least she was alive to okay that performance and, you know, sign off on it. The Tarkin stuff, after the initial shock of that, it was fine. Like, I sort of went with it, but it did really take me out of the film almost completely when Carrie Fisher, but not Carrie Fisher, turns around.
Yeah, it's like, you know, in Archer, where Dr. Krieger has like the anime girlfriend. That's what it looked like to me. Both times you were so close to just getting away with it. Yeah. And the thing is, as moviegoers, you know the reason, like, if they have them facing away, or you just see a tiny reflection of them, you go, oh yeah, I know that's because they don't want to show the face, but you will accept that. Whereas when they turn round and it's just this weird, creepy fucking doll face, you're just like, that's going to haunt my nightmares.
So of course the rest of the film has a lot of other links to the Star Wars world. For example, when the rebel pilots are attacking the shield above Scarif, we get Red Squadron are out in the X-Wings, and there's a nice little line, of course, like Red 5 buys it, and that's why we know when Luke joins the rebellion, he takes over Red 5. We've now seen in Rogue One.
There's a free seat.
Yeah.
So it should be a bit where he gets his locker and all that, and he opens up and there's all these like pictures of this guy's family, and he's like, who's this? And he just bends them. Oh, fucking God.
We fleetingly get R2 and 3PO, Leia,
less
Tarkin, Vader. My favourite is we get Dr. Evazan and Pondo Baba, the butt-faced guy and the sort of like weird mashed up guy who get in the altercation in Mos Eisley with Luke and Ben Kenobi, resulting in Pondo Baba losing his arm. I was thinking, that guy's a doctor.
Yeah, like, he's went to space medical school.
Yeah, he has a death sentence on 12 systems, of course. But how did you feel generally about how they were tying into other Star Wars?
I think we said before in one of our Christmas episodes, like when this had just came out, I really liked the production design. I thought the way that they made it look like the 70s sets, that they gave everyone kind of 70s haircuts.
I thought those 70s haircuts and the costuming, that
does tie in. I thought all that worked really well. You know, the fan service of things like Vader kicking ass, 100% on board. I don't need to see 3PO again. No. That annoys me. We've already seen far too much of them.
Yeah, I mean, even that line, when Vader boards the ship, you hear someone say, oh, the escape pod's ready. You're like, oh, I know who ends up in there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we don't need that. So there was a couple of wee bits like that were just like a bit too on the nose. You know, I mean, even like that stuff with Dr. Evison and Pombo Baggins, whatever his name is.
Pondo Baba.
This massive universe, and we keep bumming at the same fucking cunts. Yeah, that's what, you know, like, and particularly in these spin-off films that are meant to be taking us away from the sort of Skywalker legacy storyline. This is already so tied into what we're going to see, and we've got that lovely sequence at the end with Vader and it going to the guys with the cool white backwards helmet things. That's fine. We don't need to see every other character. I think the things that this film gets right for me, I think it looks great. I think it's got a sense of scale, the sort of vistas of the different planets. I think performances are all actually really great. It's got a wacky robot sidekick and it's got Mads Mikkelsen. Both of those things are amazing. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of got, like, for somebody who obviously grew up watching Star Wars and loving Star Wars, stuff like the kind of space monk going, I am one with the Force and the Force is with me, or whatever it is, you know, that's beautiful. And then at the end, as Cassian and Jyn Erso are sitting on the beach knowing they're about to die, she does them and says, may the Force be with you, and they both know they're about to die, and you're like, oh man, really
moving.
It really got me, you know.
Even when K2SO buys it, now that's a robot, that's a droid, and there I was thinking, oh fuck, nobody's getting out of this. Yeah,
that's what does make the film, I think, better in retrospect. You know, even when you watch it, you go, holy shit, yeah, this was all going towards this. But it does, you as you're watching it, you are like, this is a film that's had some weird editing choices. I think the acting skills of the people involved give it as much heft, and that maybe the film itself doesn't put the work in.
Yeah, I do. I think Felicity Jones is brilliant, and I'm all for like another female-led Star Wars film. You know, give me all of that you can. Of course, the other big issue with this is we know there was a substantial amount of reshoots done on this movie, and I think 14 scenes from the trailer that aren't present in the finished film.
Including one of a TIE fighter looking like it's going to shoot Jyn Erso, which looked quite cool.
Well, this is the thing. The finale is, I think, where Tony Gilroy...
So it's Gareth Edwards,
Gareth Edwards,
is
British
the name director.
Is the name director, yeah.
But Tony Gilroy reshot massive amounts of it.
Gilroy says 40%.
I'm hearing that he shot about like just under half of it.
Tony Gilroy said that his main role was to come in and find the through line, and for him that was, well, everyone's going to die, and why are they sacrificing themselves for this cause? I watched the extra footage on the disc, and it doesn't seem that Gilroy shot as much as he is laying claim to. He got a screenwriting credit in Arbitration, which apparently is Hollywood jargon for he got his name on the screen to let everybody know he did something.
And also, if you get your name on it, you get money. You get more, and you get more money. There's what's that book? The guys that wrote Night at the Museum that are comedians.
Ben Gerard and Tom Lennon, and it's how to write movies for fun and profit.
Yeah, and the fun squad out.
Yeah.
In their book, they say like they fought to get their names on one of the bombs, like one of these Herbie. Like it was the Herbie remake, and people were like, "Why'd you fight to get it on?" And it was like it basically paid for like a couple of yachts. Like, you know, by getting your name on it, you get more money. You know, eventually, and that's also one of these things where he does deserve some credit if he's done 40% of the work.
Yeah.
But you're saying that it doesn't look like from the extra scenes. But do you think Disney have put all the extra stuff on? I think that a lot of that will have been kept in house, and they'll be like, we don't want to make it look like there was this other cut of this film.
Ben Mendelsohn, the guy that plays Krennic, he says there's a very different cut of this movie that exists. And I don't doubt that. From the extra footage you see on the disc, Gareth Edwards not only is directing, but he's camera operating as well on a lot of that footage. And there's a lot of stuff where you see him in the sequence he's shooting, and I would find it really difficult to deny that he wasn't all over that. Where I do think there is a big difference is at the end of the film, I think the storyline is different. When you see the sequence on Scarif, there are two towers, and there's a sequence in the trailer where Cassian and Jyn are running across the beach, the battle's going on, and they have the Death Star plans there, which obviously comes after Jyn has faced off against a TIE fighter on one tower, and they've got to get to the communications tower, so they've been in one place to steal the plans.
Are you saying that there's a conspiracy theory about these twin towers?
Yeah, I think the conspiracy is that Tony Gilroy came in and streamlined the ending for clarity's sake.
Right.
And what's happened is that we suddenly lost the actual beach assault with Jyn and Cassian, and so that lends to the sequence where Jyn climbs up to, you know, send the message, and Cassian shows up at the last second to save her from Krennic. I think that's all Gilroy.
Yeah.
The stuff that we lost.
Which also makes sense because it's all the sort of stuff you can do quite easily in reshoots.
Yes.
It's all 2 or 3 people.
You don't require a lot of people, and it's in a single location.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Gilroy took over. Is it better? Would it be better? Who knows? The footage in the trailer looks great, and a lot of things in the trailer that didn't show up in the final film. Gareth Edwards explains that it was just how he shot, because they're shooting on digital now. You're not burning through film.
Yeah,
so
you can do take after take.
It's hard to say whether the original vision would have worked better, and the rumour is that the studio felt the early version was too dark, so reshot massive chunks, you know, to the cost of tens of millions of dollars. So they obviously really felt strongly about changing the ending.
Let's be honest, I mean, that's one of these things where that does sound great to me, and I love the idea that we've got a film where basically all our heroes die and there's a darker ending.
Yeah.
Equally so, I guess, as we discussed earlier on, your 8-year-old child will want to see this film. So not even just in a commercial thing, but if it's a Star Wars film, how far can you push Star Wars?
Yeah.
We've also seen obviously recently that Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy and those guys are quite happy to step in and be like, yo, fuck this noise, we're changing shit right now. When the guys that did the Lego movie were taking off the Han Solo film, which is out about now, hence why we're doing Rogue One on the
May
podcast.
25th is the release of Star Wars Solo, a Star Wars story, or Star Wars
a solo story,
Yeah.
Solo, a Star Wars, a Star Solo, Han film.
But the thing of it is, this film, there's another movement. There's a movement, hashtag dump Star Wars. You can't please Star Wars fans, essentially.
Ugh, the worst.
Like, they are the worst. And they want more, but don't want more. I don't think they know what they want. But for all the boycotts and all the unhappiness and all the vitriol spilled online about, oh, casts are too diverse and, you know, stop politicising Star Wars. The box office returns on these films so far, Episode 7, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, have shown that the boycotts and all the pissiness about Star Wars hasn't affected its box office in any way. These are giant movies.
I'll be honest, as much as I want to see the main saga continue, it's such a big universe, they have so much interesting stuff there. I do want to see them run with new ideas, and that idea of, okay, we're going to make a Star Wars film, but it's going to be like a war film. Cool. This Solo one looks maybe more like a kind of heisty comedy. Brilliant. So this is the first interquel spin-off Star Wars story. We've got young Han Solo film coming out soon. What are we going to have for other spin-offs? What are your ideas for that? I've got one. I think we should have a version of Horrible Bosses, you know, but it's like Salacious Crumb, Bib Fortuna and the Rancor, and the horrible boss is Jabba the Hutt. I think that would be pretty good, right? It's like them bitching around the canteen like, oh, I had to laugh at everything he said. You're like, ugh. And then Bib Fortuna's like, I have to stand at this fucking door all day. It's a pain in the arse.
There are rumours of a bounty hunter spin-off, which I would love.
Boba Fett should be the bad guy in a film.
Dengar, Forlorn, Bosch, IG-88, those bounty hunters, when they're assembled on the deck in Empire, I love that sequence. But
we've got to be careful. To me, it's like we don't want to have too much Boba. Boba Fett is so cool, and that's why he should be like the Terminator-esque baddie. It should be a film that's centered around somebody trying to escape the Empire, and basically Boba Fett's the Terminator. This fucking relentless killing machine. Could be like Midnight Run, but with Bothans.
Maybe we could follow Dr. Evison and Bondo Pava.
We need a Ben Kenobi film. The Missing Years. Ewan McGregor. He goes to this like apartment complex. You know, he's like a middle-aged divorcee kind of guy, you know? Right. And he's just like drinking beer for breakfast, all depressed, but like there's like a young single mum next door with like a cookie kid that teaches him how to love again. I mean, that sounds great, right?
If it's Star Wars, it's not a kid. She's just got a little house droid, an astromech.
Yeah.
You know, the wacky
astromech. A wacky robot.
And the wacky robot teaches Ben Kenobi how to love.
Oh, beautiful. And then Dr. Evison kills them all. I guess it's one of those things like, I know we don't need these films, but we are going to get them. And so if we are going to get them, I hope they're made well. And I hope they're fun. And Rogue One, despite its many problems in production, turned out great.
It's an enjoyable film. The difference in it from other Star Wars films being a war movie makes it a great watch.
Well, I guess it's time for us to, how can I put this in Star Wars terms?
Warmly embrace on the beach as the whole world just blows up around us.
Right. I might go do a Rogue One in your toilet. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. I've seen a note here that I didn't refer to, but the Death Star was built by Twi'leki scientists. It's 120 kilometres in diameter. It's crewed by more than 265,000 troops. There's 1 million personnel total, 15,000 turbo lasers, 11,000 combat vehicles, 20,000 military and transport vessels, 4 strike cruisers, and 7,000 TIE fighters. And that's all from Star Wars Encyclopedia by Stephen J. Sansweet.
Nerd!